Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Back again with another episode. Before I introduce our topic, here's a quote just for this episode. He who chases two rabbits catches none. Confucius. Today, I want to talk about one of the core values of Culture Matters from the consultative advisor standpoint. After years of reflection, observation, study, working in the field, in the trenches, bridging academia and practical case study. The word focus comes to mind of a necessary valuation of how to show up as consultant, as an advisor, trusted advisor, a third party facilitator, a third party point of view, an objective lens by which an organization can look at itself from a mirror being held up. What is focus? What does focus even mean? I was studying the etymology and what was Confucius trying to say? And who was Confucius actually? He who chases two rabbits catches none. What does that mean? Who was Confucius? And why is focus a key core value when it comes to being an advisor, a consultant, a leader, a leader of leaders? All of that's wrapped up in the helper profession, in being in professional services, serving others. How do you serve another if you're split with another aim, another context that needs attention, proper attention? He who chases two rabbits catches none, because how can I serve another if I'm not even a self? How can I be a self if I'm split between two or, yeah, more than one things in a given moment in time? To When it comes to time and space, there's only one, there's only so much space to fit. You can't fit the more than one thing in that within that space time. So of course, that'll impact your attention and intention and ability, capacity to serve, right? Professional services, serving in a professional manner. So who is Confucius, by the way? We'll get all to the nooks and crannies of this topic of why focus is so important in being consultative, a trusted advisor, a steward, and why is it so important for Culture Matters, and how have I have I reflected it constructively and obfuscated it deconstructively in my tenure? Focus. What are some case studies, historical examples? Really gone into deep research on this topic, thinking, and what does focus actually mean? And who are some examples of leaders in the historical sense and the company sense that embodied this idea of focus? And what does that value set actually infer? So Confucius said, "He who chases two rabbits catches none." Confucius lived 551 to 479 BCE. He's a Chinese philosopher, teacher, and political thinker whose ideas profoundly shaped Eastern civilization, especially in China, Korea, Japan, and Vietnam. He's considered one of the most influential thinkers in human history. Whoa, that's intense. And he said, he who chases two rabbits catches neither. Interesting thought picture. If I'm attempting to chase two rabbits, I've got to commit to one. You could visualize if one goes in one direction and another goes in another direction, how could you catch either if you try to chase both? But what if it's more subtle and nuanced than that? And it's the what we don't realize, where we don't realize run focus is what really messes us up. Like if two rabbits are running in the same direction at just about the same speed, at just about the same proximity, it looks like they're one rabbit, but they're really two. And it's going to take both hands around grabbing that a rabbit to catch a rabbit. See, I think when it comes to business, life, oftentimes we could be least focused when we think we're most. And hopefully this episode can help us, can help you, me, can help you analyze whether you are focused or not, or what focus, by looking at what focus actually means. So, what's the etymology of focus? Why do I even think it's important? Anecdotally, the most successful from, if I'm judging that from not only outcomes, like actual people that I've come across that have benefited from their work. Let's use an entrepreneurial sense, their visions, their missions, their creations. They're at the end of their life and they've benefited financially, socially, emotionally, having done it psychologically. It was part of their identity and they succeeded and won those prizes and accolades and can pat themselves on the back. The most successful, anecdotally, in my experience, have been those that were the most focused in conversations with them, both on the podcast and offline. That's something that I have garnered from dialogue, is just how important focus was to those people and how their actions aligned with that concept. The most, the least successful in a true sense when it came to actual relationships, actual finances, actual reputations, actual social class, actual emotional stability, mentor, client, potential client relationship, tertiary relationships, inner circles I've seen, and a lack of focus, even if it's that slight edge. In my own story, when I've been the least confident, the most scared, the least capable, the most incompetent, right? The, the most unable to move forward. It was a time, a season of opacity, of fog, of scattered, frenetic action, unclear vision, unclear speech, unclear thinking, misaligned vision, mission, values, a lack of integrity, the absence of integration of what Zoroaster coined good words, good thoughts, and good deeds, and focus. It's in a Michael Porter sense, it's not strategy is not what you do, it's what you don't do, or the essence of strategy is what you're not doing. the clarity and confidence and capacity to say no, to focus on the radical yes. Carpe diem, seize the day. So, working definition for focus. Focus is the sustained direction of attention. Attention. That's been a big topic on the McGilchrist interview. I think he can go deep in his 1,300 plus page volume work, The Matter with Things, on what attention means to each of us. Attention at the neurological level, on a cultural lens, from a psychological standpoint. Dr. Peterson can do the same. Attention, that's interesting. The direction of attention, energy, and intention. Attention, where we're looking, energy, where our energy is going, how much of it is funneling, filtering, intention, that subjective layer of purpose towards a clearly defined aim. So, focus is the sustained direction of attention, energy, and intention toward a clearly defined aim without distraction or dilution. It is the invisible edge that turns effort into excellence in your voice. Quote, focus is the bridge between a vision and a result. It is the visible edge that turns effort into excellence. Etymology and morphology of focus. From Latin, focus meaning hearth or fireplace, the center of the room, the place where energy gathered. Later used metaphorically in optics and science to mean the point of convergence or rays of energy. Think about it. Focus meaning hearth or fireplace, the center of a home, the place where energy gathered. Energy gathers around the focus, the followers around the leader. The followers look up. Think of a stage, think of a podium, think of a platform, an elevated physical space that represents the hierarchy of value. The hierarchy of values are in question. Are they aligned? Are they misaligned? The hierarchy of value. What is safe? What is unsafe? The elevated podium, the elevated stage, the elevation of an individual, implicit in that, that is the person leading the flock, leading the followers, leading the people. They are in focus. They are in focus. The attention of the crowd is on them. There's implicit responsibility to the group, to the community, to the individual's future in the community via their reputation, their command of attention. The attention that is on them is tied to their attention, their vision, their aim, their focus. Focus has a deeply rooted relationship with leadership. Focus reflects our aim, reflects what we value, reflects back to us and through others, observations of us and what they say of us, and what feedback they give of us, what we value, what our values are, how we show up in the world through actions and interactions. Focus from Latin meaning hearth or fireplace. Remember that fireplace. Man, that's deep. Fire. At one time, we had fire to protect us in the night from the unknown, from the predators. And even so, we were armed to slay the predators. We were armed to protect ourselves in the night, to ward off the enemy, the enemies, the predators that could get us in the night, to even journey outside of our comfort zones in the night. And then, right, the fireplace. Well, the fireplace during the day, the sun is beaming down, giving us energy, giving us light. Fireplace. Fire's role. What was fire's role in the evolution of our species? huge role, massive role, unquantifiable role in cooking, how we ate, how what we ate changed, how we ate, how that impacted our physiology and our psychology, our sociology, our whole species. So focus in Latin, meaning hearth or fireplace, the center of the home, the place where energy gathered. People are energy. The leader has the attention of the people. They have all that energy fixated, focused on them relative to their aim, their focus, their ability and capacity to hold the attention of others. That will have a relationship with the attention they can hold of them, of and through themselves. Dedicated. There's all these other, it's like focus is the fulcrum, the lever. It's a lever of values. It's a lever of values. Archimedes, give me something, a place to stand, a fulcrum, a place to stand, a lever big enough, and I'll move the world. Focus is that quote. I don't think I said that quote well. Morphology, simple noun, prefix or suffix, verb form, to focus, to direct attention or effort. Synonyms of focus: concentration, attention, intention, purpose, target, emphasis. Antonyms: distraction, diffusion, scatter, vagueness, ambiguity, chaos. For part one on focus, I want to leave this message. I think when we take preparation, which is sacrificing time now for time later, and we synthesize it with urgency, it's is an investment of energy into that period of time that's been sacrificed for a later date. So preparation and urgency come together. Focus takes place. Focus is a reflection of that self-sacrifice, that investment into the future possibilities. And when it's merged or mixed, integrated, synthesized with curiosity, a possibility opens up. Possibilities are the statistical probabilities of outcomes are increased. And it's a compounding. We're all a compounding of the content we've synthesized through our being, through our through our lives, which is relative to who's been in our lives, what institutions we've come across, what experiences we've experienced, the genetic potential in our DNA, right? That interaction between genes and environment. So if you haven't listened to the Culture Matters podcast on preparation, urgency, and curiosity, I challenge you to go listen to those core values before listening to part two on focus and why it's so vital to be, well, and beyond just, okay, it's a value in our Culture Matters from a consulting and advisory standpoint because of the great responsibility that comes with the influence that firms like ours have on the world through the businesses that we work with and how that impacts every customer, every employee, shareholder, stakeholder, and so on. But if you're a leader not in the professional services, how focused are you and what does your degree of focus reflect of your leadership and how clear you are on where you're going and what you're willing to give up to get there and who is depending on you and why. Go listen to, please, before part two of Focus, our episode on urgency, preparation, and curiosity. Because when we take these values and add them together, We're beginning to see the more of the mosaic of what it takes to be elite enough to work with the most intentional, impressive, insightful, determined, value creating entrepreneurs. And maybe you're listening to this and you want to be one of those, or you want to serve people like that. Please share this with a friend. Go listen to Curiosity, Urgency, and Preparation. And we will see you next time on part 2 of Focus, Core Value of Culture Matters.